Hey, Chris. Well, Carl, Matt, and Tim. Here's yet another week of our unnamed podcast. Great to see everybody here. And like I said, I asked Tim to join us this week to share some interesting insight into some of the stuff that's gone on with browsers. So, how was your week been, Chris?
Mine's been pretty good. I really like the fact that Tim is in the forefront, in the center, in the biggest image on this. Look at that center stage.
He's in center square.
High class, bro. High class. You know what I mean? I'm ready.
Yeah. I'm ready. I mean, we both look like we're at our houses. I'm usually at the office, but I'm in a different location today. Not Mexico, unfortunately. So, yeah, living the dream. I got a little story for later, but we'll go with that.
Carl, how's things going?
Oh, I'm just down in sunny Montrose, New York. I think it's 32 degrees. So we're getting ready to sunbathe and go out there. But when it hits 33, we'll hit the pool. So it's pretty fun.
Mr. Matt, it looks like you're not in the same spot.
No, I got a sick kid that fell asleep in my home office. So I have relocated to the dining room. But I do have champagne to pop behind me if we have any.
With champagne there. So that's nice. That's nice.
There we go. And Mr. Tim, where are you?
Let's see here. I was in Nebraska yesterday, and I'm in Denver today, and flying home tonight. Just
okay. Well,
talking to MSPs all across the country. It's very cool.
So an improvement from yesterday is what you mean by that.
Bob, where are you?
I had good pizza.
I am in northern New Jersey.
Okay, Bob's
I'm in northern New Jersey in the office, so we're all good. And actually, I'm at the home office, and if the Beagles chime in, we'll know we're at the right spot.
Stormy.
So I have to take shots at Nebraska because I grew up watching Big Ten football, and being a Michigan fan, I don't really like Nebraska much. So
yeah, it's rough.
Saying it's rough. So
anyway,
yeah. Sorry, Bob.
They had good pizza in McCook, so that's shout out to the Luke Brewery. Yeah, so I had good pizza, and yeah, so I got that going for me yesterday, and a fantastic MSP, a guy that should probably come on the show and talk. He was very, very. He did a lot of good work in Nebraska, so you would have to wear your Michigan hat if it came on. But yeah, so there you go.
I'll just kick him out midstream, no big deal.
There you go.
Internet.
Go back to Bob. Give me back to Bob. Sorry.
Anyway, guys, so I was talking to Tim yesterday and asked him to join us today on the call because there's a lot of things that his company's doing that plays right into the security and no one product protects everybody, and that's why Chris and I always talk about having multiple layers of security. And Conceal, Tim is actually from a company called Conceal that does a lot of browser-based security to provide protections that other sites can't do.
And I think the coolest thing is Chris and Bob and I, and Carl, I've had a bunch of conversations. It's what we do flows into so many things in cybersecurity and with MSPs and everything like that. It's a business. It creates business for you, but it also gives you good protection. But it makes for good fodder for conversation. So that and Matt's champagne bottle, I think we're set up for a good show.
Yeah,
ready to pop it.
Yeah.
So it's I know last couple of weeks we were talking about all the Black Friday deals and it really flows down into all the email that's coming out, where email is one of the biggest compromised things. But people get an email and they click on it, and then all hell breaks loose on the network side because bad things happen. And we can go down the path of saying we have to make sure that the employees are trained and they know not to click. But then when it comes right down to it, 20% of the emails we send out for phishing will get somebody to click on it.
Especially when you get into especially when you get into a spear phishing situation, right? So spear phishing being targeted towards a specific person. If we want to talk about whaling, that's where you go after like a CEO or some C executive or CXO. But if you know a little bit about the person you're trying to attack, it's pretty easy to get them to click on an email. Because if you know habits, if you've done some open source intelligence on them, it's pretty easy to get them. So what do you do after they click? And I think that's where Tim and Conceal come in, is like, okay, when they click on something, we just have another layer of protection that says, hey, now we're going to take this and we're going to isolate it and run it if it's something that's known bad. And to Tim's point, I mean, to Tim's, to conceal in general, sometimes it might be a false positive. That's reality. That's where we live today. Sometimes things are blocked, but for the most part, it's been a really good product for testing for those situations where people just click on stuff that they thought was safe and it wasn't.
Yeah, I think with some of the threat reports we get, so we do tell every week, we look at 3 websites, and some of the things that get through, like one was a Yahoo homepage, perfectly redone, 167 links on it. I mean, behind it's a dumpster fire, but it looks exactly like Yahoo, phenomenally done. The other day we caught a site that had that actually had a pop-up on it, and it said, "Call this because your computer's been compromised." And it was our AI engine that was able to find it, because it's using very small, bits of data put together. But what people kind of click on and what gets through, it's not like somebody's sitting there trying to click on something wrong. It's just, hey, here's a picture of us in high school, via Facebook. Like, please don't click on something from Facebook Messenger. If you could, please not do that. But humans make decisions, and so I think back to the training we can provide helps that. But also, quick decisions happen, especially if somebody's taking just these adversaries are well trained, they're well funded, and they enjoy what they do. So a little bit of time, I can know a little bit about Carl. If I get that email to deliver and it makes sense on the click, I still don't think I'm going to get past him. But if it's somebody that's not in cybersecurity, if I really want to get there, I can.
And you find people go, well, how do they find some information about me? You just go to LinkedIn. I mean, yeah. We were all advertising ourselves, our positions, our careers, our resumes. And I was talking before the show about how we're coming to this time of the season. We've been talking about Black Friday sales, but a percentage of job transfers and changes are going to happen over this next month or two. That's when people start looking at what they made this year. And they're like, well, is it time for me to make a change? Am I happy where I am? And I'm going to move out. And I've shared with the guys, I was at an FBI conference. These guys go to different conferences as well along those lines. And one of the things that they were talking about was the fact that when an employee leaves a company, over 50% of them will take trade secrets. And that includes customer lists, proprietary information, things you just don't want to have leave. And you're like, well, what type of recourse do you have? And, coming from the FBI, they're like, really almost nothing unless you've actually done something that they can prove is totally egregious. And so you're looking at you really should be monitoring, obviously, when they give you that notice, and even beforehand, because if you start to see that they're downloading lots of data or they're forwarding all of their email to another address, that's a red flag that they're looking. But then the other part of it is, Tim was bringing this up before, and they're going to be going on sites, surfing the web, looking for job offers, and they may be doing it on your company computer. And there's a lot of scams out there for that, as far as that information going, as far as, job postings and fake scams, we've seen that all over the place.
So, and this is where layered approaches come in, because you may want to block job sites in general internally, right? To double down on that, do you want people going to ZipRecruiter while they're on the job, or Indeed? Maybe, if you use it internally, you may have to make an exception. Yeah, you may have to make an exception for HR, but yeah, if they click on a job offer that isn't really a job offer, again, this is an avenue to help them be protected. Also, it's going to look really odd if they click on a fake job offer and it shows up and we have to show it to them.
Oh, that's
going to be
awesome.
Hey, look at the bright side. We were talking about this beforehand. It's an RGE. It's a resume generating event. They wanted to leave. It's gonna be a pretty easy conversation then.
Well, and I think it's a long-term posture that for employees to learn that the computer that's given them by their company is not their computer. They should have their own computer, and they should do all their personal stuff on there. Everything they're going to do in their life. If you're looking for another job, if you're going on Facebook, do you, boo? Do it on your computer, and then you're able to then keep that quarantine down there. So one, you're not getting yourself into and humans make decisions that put them in weird spots, and so we've built we have a community at Conceal, and the whole community I'm focused on is how we get people together like this and talk about how we can use Conceal, but also we can do work together as MSPs to be able to, bring people together, because people make wrong decisions, and being able to give them great ways to be able to make the right decisions is a very hard job, right? And protecting them from their wrong decisions. So I think when somebody gets, the resume generating event, is they're using that primal instinct of, oh my gosh, I need this for this reason. And really it takes adrenaline spikes, decision making goes out the window, and you're clicking on who knows what. But then, even to your point, Chris, if that then shows up in review, I mean, how embarrassing is that? And puts a whole bunch of other things into play. So it's not only just, oh my gosh, I'm clicking on a bad site, but it can also cause you a very uncomfortable situation. So really, the posture is use your own computer, and then you're not walking into those situations from a protection standpoint, but also just from an overall, uncomfortable conversation standpoint.
Well, and I think one of the things that's really upset me the most over the years is just seeing people get shamed when they do something wrong, because we're all stressed, right?
Yeah.
Like if we're working, we're all everybody's stressed. They want to get their job done. They want to do stuff. Sometimes you just make a bad decision, and that shouldn't be a resume generating event, unless it's something egregious. But like the idea here is to be able to train people, teach people, make them aware of things, and then offer them a little bit of protection after the fact and support them. Like, I don't want to talk negatively about people. Some people are going to be more apt to click on things than other people. But what are we doing as professionals? What are we doing as companies to make sure that that's a safe environment for them? Because what we don't want to is that they don't click on anything. Because now we just ruin their workflow, right? They're so scared to click on anything, they can't do anything, and they're paralyzed. And this is a delicate balance. I think it's important to understand.
Payables department, their KPI is paying the invoice in a certain amount of time. So they're going to click on things fast. That's part of their KPI. You want me to pay this within 5 days? Great. I'm going to click on stuff. So give me protection that if I make a wrong click because something got through our pre-processing, they wouldn't say it like that, but that would be happening. Then they're relying on their MSP. They're relying on their IT team to be able to give them the support to be able to do that, because their KPI is pay this fast. So it's also being able to go, hey, is somebody motivated to move fast through clicking and not be as focused? And that is okay, because you got to encourage them to hit their KPIs, and you're not going to change them. But shaming them and so forth, no one learns well by being shamed. So.
I think we've kind of turned the corner on people getting fired for making a bad decision in most companies, not every company.
Unless they're not following company policy and really doing what they should be doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some egregious act. I mean, that's just still an egregious act, right? So if you go in there and you start deleting files, like we had this experience once, somebody just went in and deleted all of AP's email box, and then they go,
"I need to pay anyone."
Like, what?
I said, you don't need to pay anyone. There's no email. I never got the invoice.
Well, they were getting fired and they found out, so they just decided to go in there and start deleting everything.
There need to be policies in place too, though. You can't hold someone accountable if they didn't know what was right or wrong. And I personally feel like the tools are the backup to that, but there needs to be an understanding first. Hey, what is it okay to do on this work computer and what isn't it? Because if they don't understand that, it's hard to hold them accountable to a standard they didn't know existed.
And you got to make is when they're. You got to make it part of the culture, so that not only do they, because a lot of people, when they get their onboarding package, they sign off on these policies and they don't see it till 10 years later when they leave. You got to review these at least at an annual level for them to have any teeth. Because God forbid, we all want the best employees. We all wish the best for you, but sometimes you get that one person, and that one person can sink the whole company. And so what you want to do is have that there, that, hey, this is dedicated. Every year we're telling you this is your company computer. This is the way we expect you to treat our data. And these are your trade secrets. These don't leave with you. These are, and you mark all your documents correctly. It says proprietary to the company.
Look, Carl, I think that's a great point, especially the onboarding part, because let's be honest, when you start a new job or someone starts a new job, they're just throwing paperwork. I mean, it goes beyond before the I-9, and they're getting a 30 to 60, 120 page handbook that might have a few pages dedicated to IT. No one's reading that. It really needs to be a separate conversation and something that's reiterated. Also, it changes. I mean, if somebody signed on 4 years ago, things were very different 4 years ago. So I think that yearly revisit is an excellent idea.
To that point, it's important to only give policies to people that actually are applicable to them.
Yeah.
For them to do their job. And I think that's a big
Well,
mistake a lot of
it
people
was.
make. They hand them like you said, 120 pages. Like, well, how much of this is actually applicable to this person? And if you're making them read policies that aren't applicable, then that's on you. But when you do an update, Matt, to your point, if you're doing an annual update, you should be notifying your employees, hey, look, this changed. Go ahead and read this.
Okay.
I think that's right.
I'm going to pull this
Tracking
conversation back down to
Yeah.
Tim for a couple minutes because we are running a little long now, and I know I asked Tim to join us, and I'm gonna give him I'll give him 20 seconds to tell us what Conceal does and how it really protects people.
Well, I think the main thing Conceal does is it's building with the MSP community to be able to build MSPs so we can make sure anything that's getting through the current pre-processing is being able to be identified and quarantined into sandbox, isolated, can't download malware, credentials aren't harvested. But the main thing is really building with the MSP community because MSPs have cats, as we now know, Matt does. And being able to really cats and champagne. There you go. That sums up the MSP
Matt's
community.
got a pail now.
A good life.
They do IT different in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, right.
There's a
right.
joke in there that's going to get us all canceled. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah, right. So that, I mean, we have really great technology, but it also it works as in a risk assessment mode. You can show on your browser where your exposure is by the sites that are getting through, and you can provide that to customers and also to potential customers. So I'm a passionate sales guy, but I'm really passionate about basic protection. And those two things, when they come together, you can really build some great stuff. So it's what I kind of do every day, and it's where I travel around and keep talking to people about.
Cool. Well,
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us this week, Tim. And I know you're traveling, and you took some time out of travel. That was great, and glad to have you here.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Guys, we're at 17 minutes. You got anything else you want to talk about?
I want to go for like 4 hours. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
I got the
We were talking about like 40.
You're gonna have to find some sponsors for that one.
I actually have a question for Tim, which is, you remember a couple of weeks ago when we talked about, what was it, the $12 billion company, and we said if we found one, we probably couldn't work for them as MSPs, but we'd be happy if they sponsored us. So hey, Tim, we're always throwing out the sponsorships. So
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. Here's the great
$12
part.
million.
A $12 million sponsorship, I'm all for it, right? The main thing I'm focused on right now is people, go to our website and join our community. So anything that helps people join our community and we make a real community better, we'll sponsor that all day long because our technology is awesome. But building a real community and anything that helps us do that, and really being on here helps us build our community. You can go sign up on the website. It's really easy. I really appreciate it. And Carl, we're going to work towards that $12 million sponsorship. I'm going to go call our CEO after this call. A billion. $12 billion sponsorship. Okay. Well, let's just take a look at the data. Let's take a look at how people are reaching. And I think we can justify anything, right?
There you go.
When Conceal's worth $2 trillion, that $1 billion will seem like nothing, right?
No problem.
That's how that works, right?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Chump change.
And how many browsers are there in the world?
That's right. Hey, that's hey, we can be on every browser. So I think the numbers are working out already. So we're great. So now everybody join the community, and then we'll work towards that $1 trillion valuation. No problem. There you go. Easy. Good conquer that today.
Okay, guys. I will talk to you all next week.
All right.
Okay.
Talk to you next week. Thanks again, Jim, for joining. Appreciate that.